Bibo.
Mm-hmm.
So Bibo is going to give us some examples of her artwork and discuss ideas, I believe, Bibo. So
Yes,
over to you.
thank you very much. So hello everybody, and thanks to the Climate Cafe for the invitation to take part in this event. I am a visual artist, and yeah, I would like to share some examples of my work with you. I take my inspiration from themes which move me or which are important to me, and that is why much of what I do relates to the climate crisis. These images are from my project Mother Ocean, where a few years ago I started to photograph some of the marine pollution which I came across, and this became an ongoing project for me. You can see that there is not only household waste, but also a lot of industrial waste out there. And these photos were all taken on coastlines around Scotland. So some of the locations where I took these photos include the Western Isles, Cape Wrath in the far north, the Orkney Isles, Moray Coast and Aberdeen, and the Shire on the east coast. I think that the ever increasing scale of this pollution is a very sad and shocking development, and when I see it, I feel that I can't really ignore it. But at the same time, you know, I feel pretty powerless because it's such a big scale that it's hard to do something against it. So I think what I can do, though, is to take photos and share them in order to raise awareness, and even if that's on a very small scale. In 2017, I had a solo exhibition with this project at Gallery 17 here in Aberdeen. And in 2018, it was also shown as part of the Climate Week Northeast. And last year, some of the works were included in an exhibition called Future Proof, held by Street Level Photo Works, which is down in Glasgow. And by the way, the photographs in this exhibition were all mounted on biodegradable foam board. Right, so that was photography. And another discipline I work in is performance art. In 2018, I received an award for an artist residency on the beautiful island of Skye, Isle of Skye, with a subsequent solo exhibition in Glasgow. And for people here who might not be aware of what performance art is as an art form, very broadly, this is where an artist carries out an action and thereby becomes part of the artwork. And this could be with or without an audience. For my residency on Skye, I created a cloak, all out of recycled fabrics, and invited participants to tie strips of fabric to it while sending someone or something that needs healing a thought of love and hope. I then wore this cloak at an ancient healing well, wrong direction, at an ancient healing well, and created a ritual which was inspired by the traditions surrounding the Scottish clootie wells. So clootie is an old Scots word and means cloth, and as clootie wells, people used to take strips of fabric which had been in contact with somebody who was ill or needed healing. I think they dipped them in the water, and very often they tied them into the trees, into the branches of the surrounding trees. So to me, this whole creative process was symbolic for the acknowledgement of the need for human and non-human healing. And I called my cloak the cloak of love and hope. I also created a series of meditative performance actions at various locations all over the island, where I took the time to stop, look, and listen. I made the effort to be present in a natural world and to actively appreciate our interconnectedness. Occasionally, I responded to nature by the means of improvised singing, like here in this very remote forest, which had a lovely echo, and all you could hear was the wind, the birds, and my singing. And the device I'm using in these photographs, I called it my looking, listening, and responding device. I had created it from recycled materials, and it acts as a visual metaphor for this process of connecting. There are also some other layers attached to this device, but I won't go into that just now. Yeah, and that's me carrying my gear around Sky. I will briefly show you some other examples of my performance art. So this is me singing a classical song on the Isle of Lewis through a megaphone at a stranded drilling platform. You might remember it was a few years ago, and it wasn't clear if and how much fuel there was in it and if they were going to get it away safely. This was a symbolic action at the construction site of Aberdeen's new cruise ship harbour development in Nick Bay, which used to be a natural bay with a small beach before they started. And this was a participatory slow walk at Aberdeen Beach, where I was joined by students from the Department of Visual Culture at the University of Aberdeen, and their professor, Amy Briscoe, who's also a writer who specializes in performance art and who's always super supportive. We walked so slowly that walking a distance between two of these breakwater things down there, those wooden ones that go into the sea, took us 90 minutes. And you can normally walk that in about a couple of minutes. So this was really, yeah, a mental exercise as much as anything else. Right, now I would like to show you some sculpture. I was really happy to be invited by the Royal Scottish Academy to be part in the New Contemporaries exhibition down in Edinburgh this year, before the pandemic reached the UK. And these are the works which I had in the exhibition. And in the picture on the left, the sculpture at the background is called Ego Eco. I made it from driftwood and pallet wood and an old oil drum. I think of it as a metaphor for being at a crossroads. My interpretation goes like this. So one direction signifies the worldview which we basically grew up with, in which the purpose of nature, is to serve humans, and in which we humans are the only living beings on this planet who should have rights. Hence, I use the word ego. And the word eco on the other side signifies a world view which we really need to get to, and which respects the fact that there is an interdependence between the human and the non-human natural world. This sculpture is called House on Fire and is a reference to the unprecedented loss of biodiversity which we are experiencing in our times and which is caused by human activity. The 7 main elements of the sculpture represent mammals, reptiles, birds, amphibians, plants, fishes, and invertebrates. And each of these matchsticks is over 1 meter tall. I'm going to show you some close-ups. The title, House on Fire, is a reference to a phrase used by Greta Thunberg. Not sure if I pronounced her correctly, when she spoke at the World Economic Forum. And by that time, when I heard her speak, I had already started to use the visual metaphor of burnt out matches. So I thought there was a clear connection there. This sculpture here is called Chasm. and refers to extractivism. So that is the extraction or removal of natural resources from the earth to sell as products. And in combination with a growth-oriented economic model, this is not sustainable. So the results are deforestation, soil depletion, landscapes are turning into deserts, and that results in food shortages, contamination of water, and ultimately in violation of human rights and an increase in climate refugees. So hence the hollow globe with a barbed wire. This sculpture is called Lament and represents a sense of disharmony, both in the context of the global climate efforts, as well as on a much smaller scale, the feeling of being out of tune with nature and the planet, and ultimately being out of tune with ourselves. So the word lament is a musical term for a piece of music which expresses grief about loss. There was an art review in the Scotsman newspaper about this exhibition, and my body of work was described as somber, impressive, and ominous. At this point, I would like to say that I am very aware that when you make artwork about the planetary crisis, there is a danger of adding to the very problem that you're trying to address in the artwork. And this is a real dilemma. So as an artist, I really have some tough questions that I need to ask myself, which I actually think that all artists and also art students should ask themselves. And these questions are, one, what will happen to my work after the exhibition? And two, am I just generating a lot of landfill here? So what I'm trying to say is that I really need to think beyond the making of the work and think of the whole life cycle of what I make. So personally, as I am becoming increasingly aware of my impact on nature through my art, but also in my life in general, I am very conscious that I am a long way from creating zero waste or pollution. But I am making progress, and with time, I have become more intentional. And I'm sure that many of the people at the Climate Cafe here tonight are on a similar journey, and I think that's a really positive thing. These sculptures in my body of work, they were all made from materials which were either natural or reclaimed or recycled. I also want to share this sculpture with you, which had nothing to do with the previous ones, so it wasn't in the same exhibition. This one I made in 2017 for the Haddo Arts Festival, which will be in their 10th year next year, which is exciting. This one is completely biodegradable because I created it from willow and suspended it with jute rope. And the shape was inspired by the bat colony, which lives at Haddo House, and the title is Winterschlaf. That is German. German is my native language and means winter sleep, which translates into English as hibernation. And to give you an idea of the scale, this sculpture is 4 meters high, 3 meters across, and 1 meter deep. So it's hanging very high up, and it was a lot of fun to go up there and hang it. Right. Finally, I would like to share one or two examples of work with you, which is participatory, which means that I'm not the only person doing it. This was in summer 2019 in Seaton Park here in Aberdeen. And I was wondering, how can I create an event which would give other people the opportunity to connect directly with nature and immerse themselves in a creative and meditative activity. So in the way that I had done in my performances on the Isle of Skye, so the same idea, but something that they could do. So I came up with this idea of creating ephemeral clay sculptures directly onto trees. And as clay is a type of soil, it doesn't harm the trees or the environment, and particularly not in the amounts that we used it. So I approached the city council, and they really liked the idea and supported the project. And Friends of Seaton Park were also very helpful in making it happen. And as you might guess from the photographs, on the day when it took place, it was pouring heavily with rain. But a good number of people turned up, which I took as evidence that if you provide opportunities to connect with nature through art, and I think that should also specifically be aimed at adults, others as well, but also specifically at adults, there will be many people out there who will want to come and engage with it. So I would like to, no, at this point I would like to add something, because Simone can't be here from the barn. I don't have a visual for this, but I'm also working on a collaboration together. I'll just go to the next picture anyway. I'm working on a collaboration together with artist Bibo Keeley, who's also based in Aberdeen, Simone from the Barn in Aberdeenshire, and the South Bank Centre. So this project is called Art by Post, and it is a South Bank Centre project that's down in London, whereby artists are invited to create creative activity packs aimed at people who are isolated or have long-term health issues or dementia. And these packs are sent out to over 4,000 households across the UK. And we took the opportunity to choose a theme, because every team, artist team or artist, can use their own theme. And we took the opportunity to take the theme of soil, biodiversity, and the way we are all interconnected with each other, so that we can bring these very important themes into some mainstream art project. And it's been a wonderful collaboration so far with Simone and with Emma Nutland. I don't know if she's here tonight. And Emma, if you are here, you're very welcome to say something about this later as well, because you probably, you're much better at it than I am. But it's been a very, really positive and fruitful collaboration, and a really nice project. And yeah, and then I would like to conclude, conclude with 3 observations. So as I have mentioned before, when you make art about the climate change, there is a danger of adding to the very problem which you are trying to address in the work. So as an artist, you need to be aware of this and make mindful choices. Secondly, yeah, I just wanted to point out that one aspect which I would really like to convey in my work is that we humans are not separate from the non-human natural art world. There's a deep connection and an interdependence between the two of us, and it is vital to acknowledge and embrace this. And thirdly and lastly, when I show my work in exhibitions, I try to place it in a wider context by displaying relevant information about the issues addressed in the work. So for example, in my Mother Ocean exhibition, I had a lot of information about plastic pollution and ways to avoid it and so on. There's a lot of things you can find online. So in that sense, there might be a slight activist element in there, but I think I would definitely describe myself as an artist rather than an activist. So yeah, that's all from me. And thank you very much for being here tonight and for listening and for watching. That's me finished.